a car beya ye kenya Mako Dijaboka 22 billion Ghana cedis. The whole Ghana fit independence. You're more casad on any transaction. 22 billion Ghana cedis. And no cry can oma hirom who destroy in a different way. No manya a boafo, be a journalist, be a civil society for a boam. Some tumfutrungun kofwene. In the problem now I wanted there. So papa. Would be at the end so say on can cry. First na be a obi ka someone no cry. Or who's as someone no crenti be a Obaka say we entro me ha me hono. Say adwuma no ye jai bibia be ba otenye no cry bia no ye be correct record no mo bia who say de omo ka no cry.
God boss story no. Enjo. Any say. Enjo onini ha bracho mebo. Kwame onini. Bracho. Ma wose man kana onini. Anti honorable. Me kan wo hye wa ho ba na onini. The big issue page no Kwame mpocho ma music and mankan na me wi am famo Kwame mbom to be fair emi ye politician e bia metwa akohwi enti mpocho won fama Kwame kan afo wo di kan na wi afabra we ye IMF International Monetary Fund
abusuya we dey mamenchi na memo akwa abamfa umbra roundage report so na ene sansensem ya ekoso e wo my Ghana mu hade in fact minim da eto obetimi atwa ama asumdwe aba frise enokore bi enya ma mededi ena won mo mopemu ensem atie no mopem emu hunu mo nso so ebisa se enkozi se nokore bededi ama Ghana fo nyina hunu se wo man no ya boka puduo no nya ade se wo so begem tie ne kodwo Oppong Nkrumah ya wono na ye MPP mrahye bedwane ya wodwina mu de ma ade hia wono mo wofo ase ayere bia bato mpahua so wono wodena no atomo bi sanso so ena as usual opinions metimi akasa de chie bia ya wonam abefo fidie internet so ya wono so ekon den na me kire Kwame na Afenyo marking ya wono na ye openipa ya woda edom kuma no ano wo man mrahye bedwafiem na ene wono mu de nkrata bi ne nkomo bi ababonten ya kire se NDC aban ye na afemu dia se de be ya eka bi a oman Ghana ya bon obegia tum na ya kase oman ya boka enu nti ade bechi bia no gold board e de kosue Bank of Ghana na Bank of Ghana da besue gold board na we de akosue we sa nti ama NDC aban empese ye de eka no oman no abo ne ho ntansa bebo no nti ye na idie nkomo no ye nhyeda enya ne pomasi bre na ene kwadwo Oppong Nkrumah ene Afenyo marking ababonten edin chiremu bi aba mepese obegibre na wati eno da nchenso so enkrata bi ababonten afa mining companies bi aban pese woje ehwim omanfo bi ehwim firi omanfo bi nsem mpokura Ghana fo mpo mo ya mining nyina na aban pese ohwihwim ni nyina de firi wonum nsem ene enkrata ababonten a mepese obegibre na wati enkomo no akoso ne bia mo ahunu se NDC aban nya de se wono my Ghana yedi ni ye kura kwan ya ofa so ne Ghana fo di ni de nyonyono kura na so wodi nyantobo ase na yentie nkomotwetwe dodo no a nei atumi akoso no ebie
ba so me kwa huma no se na me ne ofo ase aye bi member of parliament and now a ranking member wo economy and development committee of parliament ma me ni kudi enkobo abuko jo Oppong Nkrumah. Good morning.
Morning god dey say
nyame adobo ko na ba so so
nyame adom ho
ye de nyame ase na mba cho confirm mame judge na wotena asa no so enura no ye fe ne say
my lord Scott Paman not transfer acting as a sole judge for the Supreme Court.
Gabriel Scott Paman former PNC for secretary you one one
never jono.
Okay me dasi pa na radio straight away yanko sa enkomo no mankasa mba cho e de bad na mode court ya enura Supreme Court edi ruling ba ye no na e de bad na de court no.
Okay, na me fa won Ghana constitution ni mo Ghana nyina ye mra hodo wo ha no mra di kan mra ni na ne fapem eno ne ye mra kunia fa ne constitution no emayi nyina fa hodi ahodo fa hodi ni bi ko article 17 17:1 ne 17:2 o say eba no mra asemu a eni se mra yididi god no different from mra yididi dewuro. There should be equality before the law. Tinkofo mi no ananu yensa na nan enya asem na ye de omu gina mbra ni ma o se mra kro na yididi obia na say ntemudu wani tu form a Ghana Hano, there will be a friend of legal vacation. A FIBIA do August, September. Superior courts, no judges, no co-leave. Now lawyers that practice those superior courts, no mono, almost a job, Mahama Kaka. And it do legal vacation now. Asembia a war superior court no money suspended. October no you be the friend term time na near fear. And so be what them na a war superior court no more. August, September, you chance them the sign. No October, you chance. But you the friend of vacation judges are we appoint to them say judges need na ko leave ni eja kakra bi we chire so mo hwechire. Omondo omo ye ni say during the vacation no say asembia by here your friend of interlocutory injunction and I say sorry interlocutory application. Yeah, or so what say you can be a court be granted injunction be an answer secretary be an idea or more behena or more a handle assembly. And the ma'am will be vacating judge I can say unconducted full trial only for interlocutory matters. And I'm saying who do I need to for more? People every before you do a macro in court be for someone who do be no. Chief Justice have my warrant to say vacation in the young cause when you must them. Yeah, no, na. Me share money to call Supreme Court. The Supreme Court entry Article 17, 1 and 2 no. Now on council should be say Chief Justice warrant now the ama judges be say vacation no more or full trial no. It's here Article 17, 1 and 2 of the Constitution. If you know you are somewhat that Afenyo Supreme Court, about appointed judges normal can't no. Now, whilst Supreme Court can't no, judges no so you are on bet to us why you're more you know as you are. So I'm call you we na say koketi the far who deal with problem one. Which is say any intino and no I'm the injunction if I not answer the injunction application about Supreme Court to say Supreme Court issue injunction and must judges and say answer my Supreme Court back at them no answer. Supreme Court can't say many we are now or yeah Supreme Court back no any idea Juma. Can I know I court ruling on the injunction application there are Scott Mamang say on the nyadring our injunction application no. It's answer on only no you meet threshold for injuncting the court. The court will be me to us why or Juma. Our brafina Supreme Court eba beka Assemblea Nkasa. And then we see the Afenyo Supreme Court to be fixed date for Assemblea Nkasa. Normally decided judges are better Assemblea Nkasa so.
Okay.
The only determine your injunction application no.
Oh, any injunction application the substantive matter need the omunya ntenaso. Na da bro better so.
Omo my date, omo my judges.
Na enkosu unnecessary delay die.
Say at the end of the day there is a judges in some into omo no be my date. Court registrar na be my date. Na Chief Justice I am panel na ometi challenge of the Chief Justice's warrant in the substantive matter no.
Wow. Okay, Mate. Antony say omo the date in the buy no say be say the say di substantive matter but
exactly to avoid delay na nunti na ehu here say one on be fixed date for no entem then two omo be injunct high court judges they say munche na yen ka say no Supreme Court we are there more no say mbo to aso say mbo jayo yeho because one my in this Supreme Court no am ho asem no po masibre. Now the court no so what and say omo nko so nya dia omo ye na then e wa Supreme Court no na say be o man ko put me say omo fa wani munye fo. That's what's happening now.
Yeah, now omo taka say injunction application is as good as injunction itself, especially whereby we put a medical Supreme Court no nti e be say ka court na ankasa on its own no e say ko mutimi jai ana.
In fact, court, High Court for the Omo Jai. So here last week, High Court ni na Jai say, Assemble Supreme Court in some of Saka and Yi. na say high court judges for no crime poster decided said there be as someone across Supreme Court a can we here yen into Supreme Court. Now about Supreme Court into usu sisu dia say omun China who can't tell me we are or mato aswa. Maybe I don't come to and can acquire so Mr. Obekas ampa. Munya ye crampo jabe suke that can't mu ye can we anamo who gambe. But ono on 50 bid for 7 and kata. Ono injunction application there the horse Oma High Court Chamber Council million. Also a burgle, the High Court because we need Jumano. Was on one Kata and Can Asemano. I want to say,
na Enra, me who say, Dr. Justice Samusai, Deputy AG, no, so can see BS was say, one man, because 1 week now, more money who delay case, and the Supreme Court for also say, almost was Supreme Court for Cassibiti out, and I once was saying yes, I did. Then that's and better.
Oh no, say, yeah, I say, maybe application, no, a delay or trial by 1 week. That the application was mounted on deliberate falsehood. These are the company judge the cases was mounted on deliberate falsehood. That's okay. Ruling that one person. Who more than judge? I'm sorry, who pulled me application, no. But we are not ordinary nominal judge in the case said there be. As someone made the backcourt, and you know, who ya no. After they are made to buy one just there. Into their memo cannot, judge the side trail with their memo cannot. A constitutional challenge against Article 17, 1 and 2. Into focus, you will honor responding. Make remember about team because they will come for 7 or 7 1 year. Who have been about team a 2 foot of gun for any say a delay, child there 1 week now. Important. We just
Mame Sanfred back. Yes, I want a 102B. Mame Sanfred back. I was a for all of Nkrumah and I'm in a Casana, Yahumano. I yes, take it to be empty for no as I come home beam and Tino. As I to my batch or your befriend, Yanana Atwa and Cobono City, a city no. Peter, I was saying, when I hear your opinion, your opinion, so I would Mahama so Ababekai and said, I cry, a be introduction, or 102 bintino, I cry, a be introduction now. But he's in the house. Why 102 bintin. I can be introduced na yedi enkobo. Every time I mention, I mean, try to be saying, me, Roboko Oppong may be ma, 9 and 12 and Uncle Bibri, Edi, Ewo Hollow, if we are. Honorable Patrol, what to make you beat Marco? But what to make her?
You out propaganda, I can't say, okay, be a Gako to be, you have to Dr. Baumiadia. Japandi one my says as a man no cre no man can who they are to go for trim nom denam but yes no ye nyan to say sebe omuko ditra first na bia obi ka someone no cry wa who say mo no cre nti bia obi ka say we entro me ha me ho no say adwuma no ye jai bibia be ba otanya no cre bia no ye be correct record no mo bia who say de omuka no cre
honorable me that say asem e firi ho na aba me dase pa because me de man ye me hu pa ne say nipa da saniti me ka se Dr. Baumia kramoni papa bi every preku ebo whiskey na obi a we Ghana ni a wono frem so we nipa ti me gididi honorable se asem be ka bi a
won say ye na ya na ye gidi say obi a we access to information and obi a so ye rational inti obi di tro nipa no otie tro na obi hu say enye no kre. But NDC for no musuba say yenya no kra no obeka force they atoso na obi asebe oni sa information ni bi no wakwa akoye den wache na wache edi ye boy hu modern free SHS ni ade so nipa he na akọ school nipa he na betumi afa court ruling no akenkan nipa he na sebe obetumi aka so ko internet so akọ search kakra nti omunim sa ni nti no o ma twatro atonkofo etrim ka be ya ye kan ya mako didwa boka 22 billion Ghana cedis the whole Ghana fit independence ye more casad on any transaction 22 billion Ghana cedis and okra ye kan o ma yirom who did throw in a different way no manya aboafo ebi a journalist ebi a civil society for eboa some tumfu trungu nkofo ni nti problem na ye won de eso papa wo de obi ya de na so se on kan okra edin
but straight away you need sa enkomo no good board so no you need ho enkomo aden na etinye abasa asem no mpacho you need enkomo no adintra
but etinye na aba ho na no ni asem American because NDC ogidi say asem na enye no kra no kaka obetumi akama na to nkofo trim eno na ama etinye aba ho enka etinye ni bebia yi maminkai wahwefo no wetifo kakra April 2025 aban ne ba ya 4 months ode ne budget ba parliament mekenkan mu na okaya dom kuma no ye budget debate ne yakachrom say yehu dia moye economy ni bibia nsesa bibia so nsesa dia moye ne say yeru about me domestic gold purchase program no de buy no reserves na AU dino eno na mu yi na mo pompi go market no so ti mu ya artificial supply of dollar ama na create impression say economy na yi artificial supply of dollar no ya dollar be ba form nti eno na mo ye na mo de no ada Ghana for say economy na yi nti say obi kofa adefi abrochire ba na nebo aba form nti nipa no o mi adwuma wa ha obeka kokra na ma fi abrochire ba because mo pompi dollars egu market no so na dollars na mo pompe no ye na the domestic gold purchase program ne ba ye nim ne na nso kakra wo ho ade amoye no mu wi amobeboka typical with NDC omu di atemi di tro om se enye no credit aye kan enye no credit governor na be ka se enye no credit president na ka se be ka se enye no credit di attempt se enye no credit every month be na ye update Ghana for on the interventions are no moye ti do baby no se weti for no ahwe for be kaya IMF for Egma or Masote say ampa their minority for Kanye no kwe who say more pompe. Into mufa framework emra guidelines for pumping no. Omo the guidelines no ebeba no. Omo suspended pumping into the dollar ne sign 3 bioma could do be 12. And on a central for call Jubilee House omo bisa president as a dollar ne tibioma fi president Jitum say the Bank of Ghana was intervening. The bro for no by pumping na no mo suspended and then $1 na san ejiegu no mo the framework e bound the bar e bijai and pom the framework ne bar and say so mo pompe a bo so me bi so mo catch wa he no ma pompe. By the time we finished the year no ma pompe $10 billion $10 billion onto the market. Now omo pompe $10 billion onto the market no Ninsunsan so one say maybe a omuyi cedis ni fi no mo de akoto gold no e de abenya dollar na be pompe no tokuro e da ho nti at the end of the year no by September no IMF ka tell me say tokuro na be da ho ne $214 million e wo Bank of Ghana nti obeka mesan be ye central for nhwemu e mama so te say ade na mo ye ne ye kan mo ntie no say mo ka $214 million Mumma yensin kunya ni investigate ni yunhu bia tokro na beta ni enso anu ani mani bia eno so me kan omucha mi adapasa ye the motion crab parliament say mumma yenye investigation no dom kese no promotion ni guye but ogba ma the motion by say ya sans what say moton ye gold na half mumma yenhwem say one am authorization moton ne say cause ade na mo ani tokro ne be kese omsa boguye. At the end of the year, Bank of Ghana for your account. No, na Bank of Ghana for back can say. Maybe you see this nifi at the cotton gold, no. A cotton ebe pompe dollars ni go market no so no. Toko abeda hono a 9.05 billion Ghana cedis. Bank of Ghana for ne kai.
Oh goodness. Yem say line no ye bibi kaka but come no so ede. I don't know. Pastor yanko a fa me.
Hello.
Pastor me was so line na ha adwen but yanko.
Pastor what me kan?
Pastor me tun ka party ento aso.
The
goodness. I'm going to Oppong Nkrumah and I edi enkobono efa good board who ensensem no. Etina ko ma ye background na nkasa from last year ba na ka build up aba BCD course but yem say lines no hard we kakra MTN for ya complain enura say enura chime at 3 days ago the whole day na mintimi nyako. Yes, the whole day me reported my mama eventually na say be call omo office asa better resolve the whole day omo timi resolve na about 3 p.m. me phone.
Sorry, the number you dialed.
It's no behwe si nya honorable bi ma na na atwa nkobo so go bon komo ndi yebedi ye ya jesi ye boss say ahade ye mema yinsinso ma asa ne ham ye beka ho asem enkofo mu gold board na mu dwane no minima de kro e bia bright so my say money boss na wo mani nte say mo kate mo na mo hwe be before dia menti ase Peter so far na enkobo na ti say wo you better atwa enkobo no so asa go board man ai
oh say and me dey mawie say my argument say
okay
ayareko such selective justice say ye wo oman mu na say obi eye bone a ono de yetuma no reprieve say nya na man nko say bi ono ne bone ne kura no eboroso na obi de oye the same or even lesser idea in fan 20 years time will tell.
All right, inti Peter Ankuma na Martin ka men kwa homa no se na me senya honorable ni enko. We the fache sa homa no anope wo ma minimum ko na edina yo moya. Ah di pa customer public education no.
O me dey ankomo ni
yebedi yes.
Inti Bank of Ghana for account on the buy no ma dia to say o ma boka 9.05 billion Ghana cedis. Na make us account no. Also on the parliament up to now me no ka so mo fem buy. The account in the DAO 9.06 billion. What do you call dollars more? At that rate, $900 million. At the started $214 million. I can't say any investigation or more blockade investigation. No. By the end of the year, the Bank of Ghana for the catcher say $900 million. Let's say Kano, a bomb bayem pre 9, bay 4 times. Okay. Now wait now. Fofi Antoata, IMF4, or maybe o my jumanti or more no much or Moncratania. And no more betty a buying it to say. A buying a catch or say canny $900 million are upwa. The canny $1.7 billion. Now IMF4 cat in paragraph 13 of selected issues document. $1.7 billion. Yakokaya, NDC a buy money yakum. Almost ni poka eno okoka say a gold board ka na gold board in nekebia intime mu bia nka say ndisi aban boy ka how ade so our document mu black and white say mo Ghana ta 1.7 billion Canada Bank of Ghana now eba ne say na say debate na be fixated on a Kano Moya book munewo ewo gold board book ma na Bank of Ghana book so gold board also Bank of Ghana mo Ghana ka $1.7 billion.
Precisely so. What am I saying no? Say gold board do say a year Bank of Ghana say a year a Fed say customs so say why a year Ghana
Ghana ka Kano insurance one say ye be check Kano ma wo God in wetia make kwajo meti we tie phone nyina se kan say if say I was born a boy still me no ni bitua enti media menti ase ne say from April 2025 I started this as a moechi e kan conform and while some deny they bia na kan kosro enra e kan bi beka ho enne bi ba beka ho otena bi ba beka ho because focusing into Emma, you can be fast was one propaganda na yo de. Can almost do them photo.
But a quick one, a cana abano. A debate that sa a cannibal, you say, I say intra, a business say a face a forest exchange, no, a cow say dear or more effects no, a Bank of Ghana no, the global for motor higher than the Bank of Ghana for affixing a sebebre a deba did in the air courses a losses no.
What kind of IMF report now on listing your manhood? Baako say assaying, baako say off-taker fees, baako say discounts. Let's say omoto aboarding thing ne buanka say we say omoto. Ne mo hin na discount, e mo hin na assaying, e mo hin na off-taker fees. And no ne wo say ye ma ye ho kwan na parliament transfer. Ni investigate ni assessing. Na dia ya ne say mpenifo okom ha civil society for mpenifo okom ha what asem we hia won no mo ka say ampa ntinka people ne boka 1 billion wa uvu zen ka civil society for ni media for ni ade ya o maka o manu atuma o mo na say o me PR rules for road board ni Bank of Ghana ni NDC abai uvu zen ka o mbeka o manu atum mo ne wasa mo me hia mo say okay a candidate it has been established 22 billion. This is the single most colossal loss in any transaction that Ghana has done since independence. Ghana near transaction but could be a mocha like this transaction. Fit independence. I was saying here I say say a henny free discount, a henny free off-taker fees, a henny free a friend say assaying charges. Who comes you a carry from 17% to 9%. Marincha wa there. And now me say so mo ankasa omo ka say sika ye de maom ti figure na me ba bebo no. Sika ye de maom e 133 billion cedis. What you figure na mboye no?
And I know Sammy Gyamfi can 133 billion Ghana cedis. Was it you got 133 billion Ghana cedis now the year business and kwa dia kakabeshi.
Okay. now Pacho, maminya analysis bima washo for ni weti funti. Unim Ghana budget for 2025. Safi na Ghana nyinara fiti omampeni ekosi classroom teacher oshe budget sango etiri ho baby. Contractors nyina electricity, ensure, fuel. Ghana nyinara emuni pa 33 million no. Unim budget for 2025. But who producer our studio?
Me bacho ai.
You see, the me can confirm ma producer on internet so no Google say what was Ghana's appropriation for 2025. Of course say uncle Google what say discuss.
I'm bacho anti udi yan to ase be check this here.
Me pese we tie for ne wahwe for omo tin komo na ye di na say. Say aban me say or the 133 billion and a quarter of gold. And we are boka 22 billion. Now starting year na can 17%. And I want to take can also be do 9%. Let's say 133 billion no. Yemfa 132 tunche yemfa 1 billion per example. Let's just say 1 billion biano omu year. Omu shimu 17%. With TF4 and our for calculator we are on calculating 17% of 1 billion.
Okay, intino wa wunua panyi e wa say no Alhaji Audu Mahama managing editor of the Custodian newspaper. Wa check ya ma MCCA. Ghana's appropriation budget for 2025 na year 293.118 billion. Intino
240 billion. Ghana money in naira. Nipa 33 million na wo money mu. Against you electricity and can teacher for lithium so you for lithium apply here contractor for lithium. Who can now more 230 billion.
293, yes, 293.
293. Abang si kaya budget million. Of share them no sign a 133 billion. So only got two. What are you? 22 billion. na ye ka se mu ya the CDD4 IDEC IE SEPA ise omo ni dawo hefa
IERPP for ho maka ho asem nti ye fa ne sa
omo pe na e kasa o
ai
they say between omo ni CPS metis obi aka omo pe na e kasa but in civil society for wo kroma nyina nti insuo to e one ti a ade etinye no unhu se former form central for a obi to pro book akohwe book anokra ba akokra nim se ejapade book omo de betna TV so be discuss ne say yes book bi aba no mo de no a discussion de yen pro no mo de a discussion and the central for na a defend this scandal
and so my ambassadors for gold board entido
central for na a defended this scandal enti ubisa say dey na be controversy because aban no kan no kore and when ya boafo a e boa no nti no kore da ho a e wo kratemu Bank of Ghana kan ho asem IMF kan ho asem no omu bu ni kom say asem bia ni ho a wo say discuss asofo mpanimfu
omu da so ho wajo do bi ka say NDC for Afenyo magya tum say sa gold purchase ewie no Dr. Mahmoud Baumia de buy enti say ka bia bade a e fa ko Dr. Baumia and bi say na say economy say dey manage na gold board and I say gold purchase say se no na ma economy na de a and ye fa credit so ko Dr. Baumia ye no can say
you see the podcast asem no civil society penny but it's one of the most irresponsible statements I've heard obi also we a civil society penny na asem say anka wo so to bona wo se we bia domestic gold purchase program this year. Aboying and on the ne Ghana economy nkwa no correct. Number 2, a choir buy way fast so buy or see research into what resetting or system and none at the caba. Enti the papa mo yen tnas in yen shed baby a canifia ba ne nkwa be faso ya so no. Omo di agro de ye unim 22 billion eduma ebetumi aye. Na 1 billion crown meduma betimi aye.
Bebre bubuja. Na say eyi kura boy expressway phantom expressway ajo Mahama so beye. Eye almost say 4 billion and $4 billion dollars.
Can you imagine? Asem say aba asem no etinyeje ni ho no. Omo nyi o mani ebu asem ni ko mu say the PNC a problem bi ani ho. Because the activities kama ibredi Ika 22 billion na o machine no o mu bebre dibi nto kan no mu me o mani defend say asem no asem bi ani ho ekora dollar na ba 10 nti e mo bi ankasa economics will be a fan of optimization optimization no e bi a wo say o ko to ka bre kan yin na enim say let way $30,000 we want to talk about I see $200,000. You can also buy some of the car number. Was that at the optimal cost? $30,000. No, one part the car number, now the car number $200,000. May be so send a banner saying you're spending $170,000 more than what we should spend. Was it that's a car number? Menkasa. What sort of analysis is this? What sort of joke is this?
A last one. Ebi mu say ade no kwa na ohwe mu a losses no inherent in the policy formulation. Say yes mbra no wo ho no eye danya e ka no beba. Na enra de papa yin sex offending obeka na say no oye lecturer with University of Ghana. Obeka na abonten Professor Jampo medase. Was say asem won tiase because who go school as say Robokojo Oppong school be briba wakwin e wo kasa wo cost no wo chochura e na bru 1 billion na wase entie no no wo betanka say we parents o mama no papa na o ma hwe support u na no ntino e ka no mabo ana sa no person wo kire say e decide na wo go school a wo betanka say your parents or guardians have made some losses ana sa no work
say okay, but I'm not sure so BT because on no say no. Yaman Juma or ever a
maritime authority. Shippers authority. Shippers.
Yeah. The now who defend their plane. No, better na TV so say you declare state of emergency no. For Galamsey.
One.
NDC bab them almost 2 years ni. State of emergency na for him.
Was say you don't just go ahead and then declare state of emergency. You must look at certain things. No, what the TV so yes, hey Ghana.
Many nkɔfoɔ ɛpɛ tumi a asɛm a ɔmo ka kɔm de obi na ɔkasa n'asɛm yɛ baako odidi wie na aduane hyɛ n'anum a n'asɛm yɛ different ɛno na yɛkɔ so no because nkasɛm wɔ yɛ ɔsɛ obiara tumi ka no korɛ sɛ ampa na wonim maame nsɛm bi another dimension te sɛ mmea nkasa wonim biribi by the way maame nka nkyɛw magye NDC foɔ n'asɛm adi sɛ Ghanafoɔ wɔ arefire magye adi first na me feel sɛ ɛnyɛ asɛm a Ghanafoɔ koraa mpo ebegye no abochu but say me ankasa magye because me ntia say ade bi da ho plane enye plane fa NDC to me bi hu tro na nipa na wotie ne refi first one no Bank of Ghana be catch us say can 9 billion IMF be catch us say can 1.7 billion who's the difference or
difference is
the first question almost 2 times the cost. The first question I was say Ghana ni baby ebisa o de for gold board to change. For Bibia to change. The first question I was say Ghana ni baby ebisa say the man say na Bank of Ghana for catching say can 9 billion. Now I am for catching say can 1.7 billion. Enu nko akora na o say ehwe. Enu nko akora na o say ehwe. But as obia go fi and for obia ho wo mo ko kan no mo di watem. Umo kuka no manya no edi wate na so man no the say ne pese ye no say ebia because obi anya bibi edi nti no kra ne nka biom yeah and on because wa boss aka ya abo
but of fact me I would say figures bi a boy no or clarification I would busa na one thing
obo say BOJ said 9 billion and IMF said 1.7
billion dollars.
And 9 billion yes. Mentioned by BOJ. Every say I know you're in CDs, right?
Yes.
9 billion CDs.
And IMF said 1.7 billion. In dollar terms, 22 billion.
What say you can CD terms Bank of Ghana for say 9.9 billion CDs.
Yes.
But IMF was 22 billion.
That's what
exactly.
Exactly. When you mention 9 billion, 1.7 billion.
And Bank of Ghana was 9 billion. Yes. IMF also they very financial 22 billion cities.
Correct. That's it.
Okay.
Presby moderator, Bishops Conference, Methodist, Pentecost, so they forget the gold board ni hwan ade nyina. The Bank of Ghana say oboka 9 billion. Now IMF say can 22 billion na. And precure be a conscience Nkrumah. No say nana na me wo station bi so Kumase. Me ni NDC ni bi studio ho. Asmoka na say mukra no mutu to for National Cathedral 50 million went to NC. Now me say me so be to abetia MPP say ye to for National Cathedral yen to me and see the background many no kuntokwa and right and maintenance is so tifie na come utifie wo peduma utifie wo kwanye na te say yakotu to for National Cathedral yen to me and see we now business say $50 million and $80 million yen to me anye we na ubufu a metwase na $80 million no the back this more 800 million cities through 1 billion inti ebufo na yenyama say 50 million say 80 million no through 1 billion no and now what 22 billion no ebufo no way
before we dey esema BP e ma akoda ICU
ana na ye politics ni o tan keke na na moye 22 billion Ghana cedis in 1 year on one transaction. the single most colossal loss on a single transaction since the inception of Ghana. And phobia.
Ye the besia wo ba studio achi na me adma next week the catch of one for say wo ma wo be studio me atena se na ye hu
o na ma me adwuma ye yo
we dey ye sra wo mo ye nyina enso ye ka ho nti me ba ha nti Peter se me ka cho so wo chia na awudu so wo chia wo te wo ka chi
me chia mu nyina me da wase ano pay
so yeah that's a power for the education. All right, into your life about radio United Kingdom and yet to enkomo no so no my awudu akwaba awudu na bibia boko de
boko
de de nyame ase
o ma me akwaba na me Gyamfi na me kasa
sena eja wo de mitibiki concession
one of friend
mitibiki concession me no penny de you deserve all the
me da se pa
yankwai enkomo no go board assess one de deko
Peter best
okay Peter
class
Kwani
yeah
oka asembi now we say NDC for say loss a kana abano yemfa nkobo MPP for
God boss story no enjo any say enjo onini ha bracho mebo kwame onini bracho ma wose mayen kana onini ati honorable me kan wose wa hoba na onini the big issue page no kwame mpocho ma music and mankan na me wi amfa mo kwame mbom to be fair emimi ye politician ebi ametwa akohwi nti mpocho won farmer kwame kan afo wodi kan na wi afabra we ye IMF International Monetary Fund Ghana was selected issues correct na one edi free International Monetary Fund Washington DC thank you date no August 2026 yo mpocho area minority for reporter there be kwame kan brofo no boko what enjoy kanene ya bebo lottery was now the numbers thank you in 2025 the significant scaling up of DGPP operations led to losses of over 1.7 billion what dollars that is 1.5% of GDP right almost entirely related to gold for reserve oil purchases. This amounted to a loss of 17% of the value of all gold sold by the Bank of Ghana. Losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and assay fees paid to gold board. Emphasis. Okay. Kwame, emphasis. Mate, meka wobiem. Was say amounting to 17% of the value of the gold sold by the BOG. Losses accrued on gold trades are a combination of service and assay fees paid to gold board. Continue. Discounts on gold sold to off-takers, that is exporters, and most importantly, exchange rate losses from the spread between Forex Bureau rate paid to purchase gold and the CD reference rate used for BOG accounting. That's figure 7. Survey data suggests that Ghanaian ASGM, that's artisanal small scale gold mining, prices are among the abbreviation or artisanal small scale gold mining. Right. Gold moon, okay. Right. Are among the highest in the region. Right. So it means that in West Africa, yen artisanal gold na in yet ton, it is the most expensive. Yet ton abozin na area ya bokau. And it's a kade the minority no a church azim na ye kade one ton gold in bokau na gold board aton gold abokawa asem nin kodo. These accounting losses partly reflect valuation effects rather than economic costs. Stay there, Kwame. So what this means is that the argument by government abandoning Shemi there is always an economic cost to implementing an economic policy such as this gold purchase program. No, it's not correct, because per this audit by IMF with government ajatum. By the way, just for clarity, anytime IMF does a report, it shares the draft with government for government to express its own views as to the issues emanating from the report. So what I want the public to know in there, this final report is what both parties have agreed and signed to as the final conclusion. Right. So from this report, you know, the IMF is saying there, the gold for reserve program, you know, or the domestic gold purchase program, you know, has a structural design defect. What the report is saying therefore is that the policy has failed, and the losses are not as a result of economic costs. That's why they stated it in black and white. Yeah. So you cannot even argue that the IMF was not fair. The IMF was fair. And the language of the report, you know, per what we all know in governance, is agreed by both parties. So you have been indicted as a government for failing in such a key policy. So if you tell me that, oh, your justification is that you have brought in so much forex in the gold trade and that has resulted in the stability of the city, your own report is indicting you that no, you had some inefficiencies in the program. The honorable gold board naboka na BOG naboka. This question you have the answer. What is the answer in the report? Before I come in with my explanation, in the report, what did the IMF say? Yenna yezi nukwarama iraze in Oman Ghana. What you just read, you know, IMF attributed the losses to which institution? Mpocho. You come gold board. Sir, can you ask a ones into Munko's requirement? Gold board. Can you now want it? What you? No, but I'm can you as someone can I gold board into in America? But wait, Kwame Mpocho. Is it me who is saying it? There so must I be insulted? Or do be some roba? Make sure some to obido. Mizo binizin akot to pado there one shana hoba. Is that not the report? Is a minority lying? Is any serious institution making fact check in this country going to tell me that the minority is wrong? What is the IMF saying about the losses? Are they not attributing it to gold board? Are they not attributing it to the entire domestic gold purchase program? Are they not talking about the forex losses? Are they not talking about the exchange rate? Are they not raising the pricing? Kwame, let me add another point. When gold board loan were here, there were two things given to gold board as a mandate. One, a regulatory function. Two, a monopoly function. And I will explain. Make a regulatory function. Gold board now were established by an act of parliament. Regulatory function you there. And one na artisanal gold. Yeka artisanal gold. Yeka the small scale mining. Funi nyina. Gold board is a embra. A regulating one. So that is the law I have passed. Second, Embrano Suse, Obi Biara or your small scale mining Biano, or your one institution in a oil ton no gold in the morning, or your gold board. Kwame. So anybody selling artisanal gold will sell that gold to gold board, because by law, gold board has the exclusive mandate, monopoly over the gold that is mined under the artisanal gold mining, subsector of the mining industry. Now, an argument in there, to that extent, one cannot say that sebio losses no gold board on yan one because all the gold from the artisanal mining sector no or ya own embrane say one fan forward. Now say ebekaya when the minority first read the interim report of IMF bekaya the last year was it 10-year disclosure be your first report the 5th review no this report is a 6th review 1/5 review no was stated there there were some losses up to $214 million. When we got hold of that report, we filed a motion in Parliament. You file a motion, no, an argument in there. Even the fees were just too high, and immediately you raised the fees as some, which was 15%. BOG and Gold Board held an emergency meeting and reduced the fees to 9%, and later reduced it further to some 5%. And now, after the 6th review report, you know, Bank of Ghana says it is exiting the program entirely. Kwame, we raise this issue as patriots, as part of our oversight. The Yeye parliamentarians say, Omanu Bibiru Kocho na Yen Yanka. Wanna be on Obaka. Nurse fu pia we school aben say a minister no say only clearance. Finance ministry say there fiscal space ahonzi nyi ho. Meanwhile, through this gold for reserve programming, you've incurred such huge losses. You needed only 6 billion to employ some nurses and teachers. Musimu need 6 billion. Yet 22 billion has gone down the drain.
My question and say gold board for no a Bank of Ghana for an amount say munto gold my mukwa munto ni say fees ni anyame womu say we so mfantua we it me gold board no se metoni nyina nam de koma Bank of Ghana pe de sha wode amame no a samfunso bi ba wodi bra me gold board say ena enkofo bisa se auditor general's report no so no kan se Bank of Ghana na se kan se kan se a gold board.
Okay, Kwame, that question no, the latter part of your question already you have the answer. That in the report,
the report, okay.
From the report, you know, your answer needed. So let's not repeat it. Now, let me come to the main question. Main question na nipa no bisa wono. The answer lies with government. Kwame, I am not responsible for policy implementation of government. I'm in my opposition. If our iyaben na introduce a policy, your duty is to put in place the guardrails, the mechanisms for successful implementation. When the policy fails, you take responsibility. So at this point, I don't want to get into the argument where somebody will say, oh, why are you not blaming World Bank? Why are you not blaming BOG? Why are you blaming Gold Board? Why is it that the losses are in the books of BOG? So as for Gold Board, say, you see, that would be amounting to mischief. Why? Because there is a complete structure, a value chain of transaction. You have traced the transaction to where the error, the defect is. So maybe a defect in one, that should be where you hammer. Yes, it is true, and in all fairness, the report, it was Bank of Ghana that IMF audited. Yes, it is true that the losses are in the books of Bank of Ghana. Yes, it is true also that the losses are attributable to which institution? Come here, continue for me from what we read.
Yeah, to the Gold Board.
Yes. Now, in all this structure, Bank of Ghana for Sabi, I want to what artisanal gold Ghana. No.
Well, one mammy said, me to say.
So what I'm saying is that Kwame, to make it simple, no, it's a government policy failure. Okay, it's a financial loss to the state, true or false. The loss is on whether you mention Bank of Ghana or Gold Board, you are mentioning what? A loss to the states. Because Gold Board is a state institution.
How
do you account for profit? You account for profit by deducting costs of sales from sales. Anna,
yeah.
The mischief there then is that the cost, has not been captured there. The cost has been offloaded to another institution that is a subsidiary. Kwame, let me ask you a question. From the report that you have read, which you are still in possession of, the losses have been identified in the books of BOG, correct?
Correct.
But the losses are being attributable to which institution? Right. Now, Kwame, I didn't know about the Gold Board there. No, I told you one man. I apologize.
No.
Yes, in common, Kwame. These are reputational issues. So, Nkrumah,
Now I can tell you, sir, and you're NDC for the chief executive, Sammy Gyamfi, or can on a press conference, Nasi.
Oh, what can I say?
Yes.
Now what about the gains? No, say that's not about me.
No.
What about me with scenario?
Okay.
You
Page 8 of the press statement, or Casano. They are rebel. You see, so we are watching say Uniminyansa Bibre now there. When you are Tibibra, Oma upon Chachi. Page 8 or Casa or say the Gold Board's statement no.
Remember. My main man is here. I'm in Keskin, India, working to ABCCA.
Oh, communication director, regional.
Yes. Keskin, good morning. That is saying.
Good morning, Miriam. Maybe I'm okay.
Nyamiadum ahode ewo ho enti Dr. Keskin na meneno edi enkomo no one is here we newly elected communication officer for the Ashanti region enti Dr. Keskin Owusupoku fantastic young man we PhD holder a proper one.
Who MPP ni bi or use doctor fake da.
Dabi. Ba ko bi konya bi. Na no wo de ekode ba ha. Ekode ba ha ho. No ka che producer say omo fa sa de ne ensa. And ye ka say dabi. Ye use sa enti ani mo ya na daru kwato share so no masa. Ku PhD no me so ye chechemu ye. And ogina daru ka say bacho we die. Mani nse dem. Say dabi MPP for the yes ye kan what ase ye kan what do was in PhD deal to use but when say they use what ase et Keskin congratulations to you any baby I will be and I want to say ye de am ase
so sheni ase ni mana communication that ma take off smoothly but there's a lot of work to be done
now when Saturday me ba Kumasi no me wura Jubilee Park Holmonano interestingly the copper first person me who no na ye Dr. Isaac Chibrubi and me busa the doc na adene ti say and also hands down what the beko me room and many di go kakra afa me background so na ankasa na me say hu so and am be jam wo chela busa when I was saying Gordon ade we se me nya be less than 80% a best surprise me na me ga say there be trouble na delegacy there you can't always trust the way election in fact ye wie no ye boba banana me say gina won chen na wudi ne baaye na ka che God media ma wini say die and they say ya na be ko we be wini in fact ye wie saa so na ye na process nyina efa ofa ne say
mama na osamentwa chief onyahwefo na let's ye party penifo am no Ashanti region so far he's taken off 90 national officers from or medium legal from elections committee and a party phoning in finish conducting and that would be asked. The elections was very peaceful. Obia ko from Kokana nobody was attended from Obeka Asema the Boa party for except to say if Bakumi will be Mokasa Tasso. Barana say a 18 year book no.
especially when our unions as a party, she came home, winning 2028 election. Yeah, so I believe in but modern fair, Mr. Ishak Chebobe, the following day. That was around basic something early in the morning. He also proved to be a good sportsman. And my cousin now could be saying never came one my tuma. Now man the year the assurance say if there's any idea or did he say now it's be German or Krano on one leading that very project. You can go find resources for him maybe on also why they're doing it at the end of the day. Miss I say there's a lot of space in the sky for everybody to fly. You see, the day my party, communications across Kudiano, all hands to be on deck. So far, I would say it's so very good. We've taken off nicely. The calls for unity, the actions, are backing those calls, and I hope say so that the whole region, can stand as one firm block at the 2028 elections.
In fact, before elections, now we are very active pa na adibia man nipa bebre ye ne won kan so bebre so ehu pa ene o samona mukoko facilities and na kufu and about me am ye no especially hospital facilities na mukọ e the videos no e ba bonten e run commentary e wo ho wo babasi say no we main focus pa no any say my just one pe ne ehu say the communication structure and architecture was anti region afedie e besesa.
Okay, now, okay, but main corrective. Only my branch in energy.
Energy. Minimum energy pa minene kasa.
Good. A Juma energy we normal hospitals. I was the brain behind it. The year a research was the NDC from 1992 to 2024. Only a single hospital in Ghana. And my research work. And you said another way 10 hospitals. Who said energy normal call almost videos. It was part of a bigger project. The shots here near the end of 2024. But some men, your power and the do be more power now. Over more than Kana, to be unable. But in opposition, people are easily able to see the good in the things you are doing. Now, they did kind anything as a political party in Ashanti region, the SA, and they said, we need to control the narrative. We are a political party, narrative, agenda setting, and you want to lead here, especially in your strongest holder. You are setting yourself up to fail. And the idea, and this opportunity, a party for the Amameno, only pushes me to do it on a bigger scale. At this time now, with my streamlining the agenda setting, I'm making sure all communicators to the same line. But first, once the secret, I'm moving in there, I'm moving in there. And I think that is one thing I ever bought. Let me example back. Now we can saying project size a quiet. It was because the regional minister, I'm calling any NDC for started narrative say, Yanya in Ashanti region. And that narrative they start to dream water. This is not true. Because with the benefit of facts now, one only inflation, the MPP has done more than the NDC has done in Ashanti region. Your core around counted about 72 monumental projects. 72. Can you believe that there were media people who didn't know say Yesi University of Akumadan? Now Munim Hoshe. Omunim say were MVTI building kakaka. Afan Kran Kraus Kumiziao. Omunim. The number of mega assembly blocks, that assembly block complex, Yesi Sabe 16 was Ashanti region. Omunim. That big irrigation project wa Akumadan. Omunim. That quarters, judges quarters. Court ACC even within Akumada and Honor. And Majuma Kesene said that narrative, let's say you're making sure say Semon Yakama and Kofati Bepumene, Uko a year Sewa and Kofoko say your system a you STEM JHS ECB or if you say job in class STEM JHS, very big one is what be requiring. And these are things that moving into an election 2028. Untimi enka say wonyamana 1 year in the region no umo model. The year could do yes. NDC Boma abandoned for about 20 months. Agenda one project in Kwabe 32 and Boma abandoning. We need to revisit them and have a conversation. No problem Castle Juma na Omunyam Farm agenda AF 133. We need to revisit that and have a conversation. automatic posting, all these unnecessary we need to have a proper intellectual conversation. And as a conversation here locally relevant. Just imagine say Obi Adansia Sokwa. Now yeah issues the word Adansia Sokwa nani Adansia wina. Make hypocrisy in touching what I don't understand it. How do you expect the person to vote for MPP about Belamti in touching what? Oh no, onya ho direct influence ya. Onya ho direct benefit ya. It comes back to the agenda we are setting. And the narrative you want to control, the relationships we build with the media. And I can assure you, this is something might be, and now we all watch until you follow the politics, communication, do for the last 19 years, working with some Kujo, Kwesi, and Esquaqua, Poyando. And we are very, very in tune with your politics, never they say if I call because I do not one day, but in all humility, we are going to serve and make sure that the communication phase, no, you are turning around. Nyama is Janya Hon in a Bemuno so
Pepra, Ibrahim Adam, George Sipayanki, Danabu Dakpe, Tatuti Kata, Omunina no, Omani Frisika, Ushe, under President Kufuada, Eugene Bafuboni, Tevie. Alaji Salifu, Mimina,
and then national security for NMC for no NCA, National Communication Authority for us.
Omunina no so see Omani Hre Sika. So apart from grad in recent times mpo Oma Omude Omo Ekojina court ani edi Oma sama Noli Prosecutor Attorney General Iba ya wabeja Omunina no Usha Unibank case ya Dr. Dufo Omani Hre 663.3 million Ghana cedis. Ushe Sagleme housing project here, calling down the case no. $200 million.
Yes.
And Omana Hre. Ushe Ernest Thompson. Sa Senate ne OBS case na. Omani Hre $14.8 million. Now what down for said na there.
Hey, Mr. Mr. Madam for no.
Finance Minister at force in case no ambulance case no Omani Hre 2.37 million euros.
Yes.
Opuni Omani Hre 217 million Ghana cedis. And so NDC buy Omabejai Omunina. But Ushe cases are never court na. Nina ye cases are no minor Hrisika, no minor air training sticker aji back.
Yeah.
What you say? Ushe banking sector
clean up exercise
here by Asian Atuasian Ekoda Fiase ya. And so no man riska omonukwa so obetua back in the process and went to mention any na odukwa. But enkoba say obi breach an act. Ebi act no kra sa chese so obi breach an act a. Ekwaya wo se e faso ema nipa ne yede. Ema no e correct those acts no. And I'm a me biggest argument in the chain no me sounded that even the charge sheets mo the charge chairman want to me.
Yes.
A bear has said what kind of charge sheet ni nyina and in mo about charge sheet na nowhere. That is say chairman want to me akoye galam say.
Yes.
Inti at best Chesebia were breaching an act. So we're breaching an act and act now so chere kwan yemfa ne so. What do I say? It's a reclamation near now say yeah at least it be a fine. But and this is why your imagine say when be omo befa so a omo befa so e de chama hutuma kotum no omo befa no omo de na papotum.
Yes.
Na me say be chest say be a exim case no. And as omo so akwa kokko rules bi akwaji sika bi. Na why waje o man sika me o man na hwiri sika bi. E na wo se o chama hutuma de a waye de o man na hwiri sika nti yemfa no kojina asem dibia na yemfa no kokotuma na so wajeli na na kotum mpo a nka mini issue bia wo
gido fato so falete no to so
say company fantastic presidency enra no mo issue here.
Okay eti miridi ohun okay ma miridi we say Adamus Resources Limited gets reprieve from government. Now we share Felix Kwachofo a Facebook page now the hal ayo de to say Adamus gets reprieve nana adie
obi breach an act ayamano
ai enti no wo henfa okay adena mad ya na
but you see me call early obo St Joseph say mo call Montessori
reprieve no mama mi kan nyina nwie
okay
just de ho achew
oh dear
wanyamwa Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources Minerals Commission Adamus Resources Limited have been asked by government to present a 12-month roadmap for turning the mine around. The roadmap will include a 6-member management team formed between Adamus and government to supervise the turnaround of the mine. The membership of the committee will include 3 members from the Adamus side and 3 members from the government side. The agreement followed a meeting at the presidency aimed at resolving the dispute between the two parties to salvage what is one of a few operating indigenous large-scale mines. The roadmap will include a plan for settling liabilities by Adamus to Ghana Revenue Authority, Minerals Income Investment Fund, financial institutions, and suppliers. The road
breaching an act
or the GRE car at the Minerals Income Investment Fund for car and the financial institutions and the and our suppliers. One more day and in ruins and equipment are blooming outside the moon.
Yes, apart from so breaching an act, no, or sa ama or mine at risk.
Yes, there was the roadmap will also include exploring means to inject fresh capital by inviting additional partners to take up equity in the mine operation. The two sides are expected to present the roadmap to the presidency in 2 weeks. Felix Kwachu Fusu, MP, spokesperson to the president, Minister, Government Communications, and a Holman. Pacho, no.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Inti, say obi breach an act. Na say ono act now where you say or the nasase legitimate concession akoma obi amobi akoya adwuma wo so eno kra no another dispute yen settle say deed of assignment whether say or the man no one farm no do no obi cause any another issue, but the point is that mo say to my want to meet the legitimate concession akoma obi ma obi akoya adwuma wo so.
Yes,
na e breach the act wa bra nipa no de command no also on reclamation na one reclamation to on them 20 years fine na ono a anka ubetimi a fine no ama wetima kwakwaya the reclamation go legitimate concession.
Yes,
one penny na another one ono so abreach that same minerals act here dey picture ma wetima akota mu no ono de nyese bia wo breach the act mpo keke
dabi
reclamation
almost Omega na lose 205 million Ghana cedis.
Fantastic.
Me no na wo hell
na o ma chechem o man no GRA some do not the GRA ka
dabi o better year free so why
and o ma chechem say ka o de GRA ni mef ni ade a ontu ya ni nyina no ono de enam say okura edin fufuro nti ana ebi a owo some association bi emu ana say oben obi nti mama no ana what the political declaration bi nti now you sure so we need political
there be so MPP dey dia ekedinatu.
Oh yes oh yes mafina matu kola afina matu
say ke this MPP dia ekedinatu
and ana one more GRA
Aboka 205
and
say ekarabusa for your mudo
on the 20 kobunya be 40
say kombema ombechi chemu omeka kwase financial loss to the state kombedi sa asem no.
Yes,
what I see, you know 205 million no ombedi ya no nko and na legal mine no most more evidence say China for be galaxy.
Yes,
ombedi ya no so ati et court 1 court 2 court 3 court 4 court 5 ni nyina obeji na ho.
Yes,
na wasa na kofa commercial court so et ko be 6 courts why NDC niya
oya MPP niya
na so why MPP niya.
Yes,
Angela List
na anya selective justice na
selective justice of course
and no make sa argument we me unuya chance maka to another program so ono kwa was hit go face
Colorado for dia
ono so sa
yes
but ye omo so mpo na ya invite no to even yoko anasi ya dia na mpo so o me chechire mu
the Peter can say Mines and Minerals Act no.
Yes,
say will be breach here
your choir
de faso
yes
eye de bi ani ba ko court
yes
na ye breach act die ye nta fa nipa ntumu o man ganem na politicians e wo man ganem ma do matumu yi wo kan mu nyina asem nyina wo bia de ye sika omani free sika
yes
ida se won wa na omani gidi se odi obabani sika ana okodi djuma bi na sika bi jiraye ni nyina ho obobodi ni bebri se ma want to me pe and ye did breach of an act of parliament e de adi say wa ma obi akoye adwuma wo no ana sase so na ni bakọ na kwa galamsey
Adam there was a similar one
I want assassin
Chinese people ko ye galamsey one
it is chama want to be the end here koto de budget ye na kotum 20 years na Adam sudie yi menua we read of first report now mo challenge ye na omo say omama enkofo China for mo evidence obakofa China for aba amomo aye galamsey ba koporo mo say asase no lease no baby o masase ne hye no wo no o masa awiem atra omo hye no akodidi nkofo asase so ni nyina wa report no omo san tax yes o mutua emagiari ene mif ene eyina no ni nyina mo antua mo mana boka more than 200 million Ghana cedis Adamus
unless say minister no be try and throw ekre when or issue statement by a press release say ade say na
omo do mo kan no charge omo dia bo omo no eto omo so mo jomu omo jomo list ni efro mo sem eni ye busa se na se yan mutime de jiri ba ko list free ni nsam de a ada na chema mutu de man ga se na mo se yaji bu list free mo sem na mo mo de ko court ade ni court 20 years asema ye kan no afa ni pa mo se mo jomu list free mo sem na enra mo de ba ye se Adamus get reprieve ni se why bone na ke ye ko punish you. Oh, what you two man say who say why bonne ni ye ko pale so that say oh he say we put the amount reprieve ni say it's no temporary you know ya punish you ya punish you ya mo kings ni 6 no na emu no wo de fa ya bra school ntem wo ba na akwacha headmaster no no ntini say we ni say for one term I be jaw and one no it no ya man reprieve but Chema want to me that he doesn't deserve reprieve because wonye Ghana ni because wono dey want to attack that because we MPP ni intra because he's a threat to the NDC. And once Peter can no pay.
Yeah.
Adamus gets reprieve. Chema want to me get in Sabon.
Ono dey.
Adamus gets reprieve. Chema want to me gets Adamus gets reprieve for worse offenses committed. But Chema want to me who commits a lesser offense gets in Sawum.
Oh, kwami beku nipo. Asem serious pa now. Ya reho.
Chema want to me say muba. Enra ekwo ho no nyamba next week esi ekọ.
Pampa is true. Oh, ye ba akọchi am.
Nyamba next week.
You see, nobody is against Angelina List and Adamus.
Of course.
Omo be mano sa reprieve no. In fact, enyo omunko a na ye mining a amanfo asi omu concessions. Enyo omunko a.
Oh, there be.
In fact, the obibia oye large scale mining bia no. Ama large scale ka Anglo Gold Ashanti Gold Fish example. Concession bi won mo di okura no omo gya ho. Nyese bi omo gya ho omo gya ho for Santa. Amanfo ko sisi ekire ekoye sa dig and wash.
Hey, akwa je se ho na oframpa. Tell me no I don't know dig and wash. Akwa ye galamsey expert. Hey. Oh, the war expertise e wo mo yi. Enye obo ase. Dig and wash. Hey. Sir, you come on. Bra.
Ni brisem na o ja.
Oh, so the more just you are enriching the conversation. Yanko.
Na enti reho but emre na be kire ene chema wontumi ochina bi na mbeka ase ochina betima akoye President Mahama nua ya sa stations bi ebe peke ede ko 1990 baby ekoye nioma bebre se meme se ekobase amanse sa Ibrahim Mahama nso wan ria ne ho be kire no
almost right there.
Make me argument na me say we should be careful because if we are not careful obi bia o mining bia na amanse sana say ohun nya me fa na o mpe wasema obetima concession so akɔhɛ sɛ obi abɛsi akyire I use that same process ama saa nipa no ho akyere no na meka sɛ wohwɛ even krampo Ibrahim Mahama so he is into mining or concessions
yes
nti obi ko si ni concession achi na ko ye adwuma bi a ɛsɛ sɛ ɔyɛ na yɛ ko kye no sɛ emfa ne nkɔ tu nsawoma ade papa
ɛna ɔmo so wɔfo so
one stations be so mpa no ne yɛ ɔmo peke wa ha na ɔmo twae
ɛna ɔmo akɔtɛn no ɛnyɛ hwee na saa mpora kan te point